I'd like to start, first of all, by saying good luck to our women's volleyball team. Big match today, and all the other sport teams out there running around. So, but I know it's a big day for Coach Cook in Minneapolis. Some of his girls were at the game, which is pretty cool. It's always nice to have a Husker at your back. With that, I'll take any questions.
When you kind of look through the Minnesota game, what jumped out to you?
Yeah, I was, it was as, thank you, no more questions.
We're done.
Wrapping up Minnesota, the first thing you do is look in the mirror, and I was slow to change ball screen defenses on Coffee. We had both those guys were in foul trouble, being Isaiah and Isaac. And I think that I let that worry me more than it needed to, even though they both fouled out. When I look at it, I just was too slow that way. It was as bad a defensive effort that second half as we'd had since we were boat raced by Michigan in 2017 here.
How do you kind of strike a balance between taking feedback from the guys, like during a game, and
Yeah.
saying, you know what, I'm the coach, we're going to...
Yeah, and that's what I've struggled with, is because I know they were worried about fouls, and I probably blame myself for, okay, I got you, let's just stay what we're in then. And it doesn't matter if they foul or they score, it's the same thing. Anybody can run out there. I could go out there and play and they still score on us. So, just because you're 6'9" and handsome and all these great qualities doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. So I think that's where I probably blame myself, but I trust these guys. And, we had equity until 3 minutes left in the game. We still had a lead. We still had all these things going on. So it wasn't like, and we'd answered another run. They'd made a big run on us in the first half, and we were able to answer that. And so, it's just, I miscalculated it, I think, and that's where the buck stops, really. We had some chances, offensively. We had 4 straight possessions where we missed a bonus, and then we missed a wide open 3, which James took, it was a great shot. It was a draw and kick 3. He towed the line. Everything was good, just didn't go in. Then we went 1 for 2 at the line. Then we missed an inside shot that was essentially a layup. We're late in the game. If you're not getting stops or if you're fouling, that's not good. And then they hit the 2 threes late. McBrayer hit a huge 3, and Coffee hit 1 too. And they weren't defensive, blown assignments or anything like that. It was just that we knew we were going to give stuff up at the point of the rim. We knew that. I think I said in the pregame, this worried me with what their strengths were and what our scheme is and what we're doing, and our length but not girth. We knew it was going to be a tough matchup, but we still had done a lot of things for a long time. So in the end, my regret was just not just saying, this is what we're doing. And maybe I could have zoned a little more, but even then, we turned them over the one time. But I brought everything up to the guy, and I just, instead of, I like them to have a voice and an ownership in it, but at the same time, we needed to change that ball screen coverage.
What stands out to you with Creighton?
Well, I think they're Coach McDermott has got a tremendous brand and really a great program in terms of those guys are an elite offensive team. They do great. They do transition great. They make threes in a great way, right? And those are 2 of the hardest things to guard, And then with that, they've got some playmakers in screen and roll and some strong finishers. So, and they've got players. When they signed Alexander and Bialik, those were great signs. And those big kids, Epperson, Froling, and Martin were all highly regarded kids that I knew about. I don't know where they are with the 24/7 and the Rivals and all those guys. But they've got a lot of talent, too.
You guys are obviously up there in terms of field goal percentage defense, but Creighton's number 1, I think, in effective field goal percentage. Do you do anything differently other than just contend like you usually do, or like?
Well, you have to make adjustments because they are like I say, they're an elite offensive team. So you have to be able to consider plan A, plan B, C, D, and keep going down the line. He's done a good job defending us. We have not scored as well as we should have at home the last 2 times we've been here. So we need to do a good job offensively too, because we were not good at the end of the game against Minnesota offensively. So that's kind of a point of emphasis right now, anyway.
Does it matter that it says, or does it matter to the guys that it says Creighton on the jersey? Or does it just, do they
Yeah, I think we all accept it as a big game. I mean, I do certainly, and I haven't had any success against McDermott, and I haven't, we haven't beaten Creighton yet, and so it obviously means a lot. And you try and say it doesn't mean as much as the last game or the next game, but when you're in it, it means everything. You know, I mean, you don't sleep and you don't get raccoon eyes for your, because you want them, but. I think that it means a lot to them. I think they'll be, hyped up. But you gotta approach it like, hey, relax, be aggressive, let's go have fun with this.
Does it seem like it could be a springboard kind of a game?
No, because this league is just too brutal. I mean, again, I've said before. You look at, I think it's Indiana, and I'm just giving general numbers, but let's say they're 140 points for in conference play, 136 points against, or 2-0. Flip those numbers, right? And you're Northwestern, 136 for, 140 against, you're 0-2. And you're 0-2, you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm 8 games down, And so I just look at this as a very important game. It's a resume building game, and it's an important game for me personally.
How do you size up James' shooting percentage, James Palmer? Is it, do you like his shot selection? Is he, what would you say about it?
My only quarrel with is when he takes a shot that's too far out or too early in the half-court set. Even in transition, those are shots he works on a regular basis. But if it's just even this far out, Steve, here's what I tell him. If you don't land on or in front of the three-point line, it's a deep three. And when you're shooting the way, a couple of those guys are shooting right now, there's no reason for you to take a deep three. Get as close as you can. You need to take the three. And James can shoot him. His numbers in practice are good enough to allow him to shoot him. But you've got to have the shot discipline, like you just say, that selection. And I thought he took one really good one at the end, but 3 bad ones earlier. 2 bad ones, and then one was a turnover where he was hunting the 3, and I thought he should have been running to the rim early in the second half. Glenn bounced past it. I think it was the under 16 or under 12 timeout, and he fumbled off his fingers and went out of bounds. So here we are in transition, a chance to build on a lead, and we're hunting a 3, and we should have been attacking the rim. So, yeah, those are the 3 decisions I really didn't like, but they're 3 important decisions when you consider that if you're, 5 for 12 as opposed to 3 for 14 or whatever it is, that's a big switch.
You mentioned this was a big game for you personally. Obviously, there's some obvious reasons why.
Yeah, I haven't beat him.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I haven't beat him. So I need to beat him, right? And I won't be happy until we beat him 14 straight. So I got a lot of worrying to do for a long, how old am I? For many sakes,
How do you kind of
This
deal
will take
with,
me to retirement to get this done. I'm here for it.
how do you kind of deal with, I guess, like the nervousness of the Nebraska fan base? Because they obviously realize what the situation is. Does that
means they
affect you?
care. It's great. Listen. If the fan base is happy because we played tough at Minnesota, we got the wrong fans. We don't need to. They need to be saying, "This bum, what's he doing? Why are we still stuck with him?" And when a coach is there long enough, it really does become what you can't do or don't do, as opposed to who you are and what you do well. And that goes with the territory. So if there's a grumble, this, that, and other, yeah, I'm glad they are, because it means they care. I'm not happy either. Guess who else is grumbling? Kerry Johnson back at the house. Why aren't you calling timeout? Like, I'm getting the business from the dog. And so you should get that. You know what I mean? And so I think it's great, and I want to be great. And, so many people, I had guys printing golf balls about it, handing me golf ball, I don't need that, but I get it, and they care, and that's what matters most, and that's what's great about our Husker fans, and I want to come through for them.
Do you
more than just once?
Do you seek out those comments?
No,
you obviously on Twitter
can't avoid them.
Right.
You
see them obviously.
Well, I don't want to expose everything here, but I did read Dirk's thing today, where Dirk said everybody's grumbling on Twitter, and he got taxed. So I saw that, but I haven't read everything. And I had some alone time, so I read Dirk.
Brady had 9 points against Minnesota, looked pretty good, 4-4 shooting. Are you starting to trust him more?
Yeah, I am. He was the first sub in the second half, and if I would have told you Brady was going to get 9-5 in his first road game in the Big Ten, would you have believed me? Yeah, I mean, he is really, I liked him, but I've been very impressed with him, And Tanner's done a good job, but I thought that the other kid was just too, Stockman was just too long for Tanner. And so we ended up going with Brady, and Brady really did well. I was impressed, and he's going to get more run. And right now, we've got him running for the scout team because we want him to have reps against the top guys. I think that's more important that he gets, just all these reps against the top guys rather than 1/3 of the reps or half the reps against the scout guys. So I required him to, he's got to mentally pay. Brady, do you know this play? Yeah. Yeah, this one? Yep, that one. Okay, I know what to do. He's really, the amount of basketball knowledge he's able to go and execute is pretty remarkable when you talk about trying to acclimate while running the other team's offense. And so I'm really proud of him, and I just can't say enough about him. And he's just a really smart player. I think he's going to be very productive for us. He already is.
Hey, Tim, if the volleyball team wins today, they play at 5 tomorrow. You guys play at 5. How would you suggest the fan manage their time tomorrow?
Well, they do have DVRs for volleyball. No, that's a tough one. That's a good one. Because I'd like to watch that too. Although they're going to require me to work. I think my son's got a ball game at 4:30 too. So I'm going to be disappointed regardless. So I'm going to the game, and I have to imagine that that the locale of the game will have a lot of people here. But we want to be supportive of Coach Cook and that volleyball team because they deserve it. Again, Minnesota screws up the schedule like they did for volleyball the first time, right? I'm just going to call them out for that. And they beat us, so it worked, but not this time.
Marquise Reed and Trent Frazier, you guys handled pretty well.
And Reed got hurt now, huh?
Yeah. So is Tyshawn Alexander like those guys? Is he? What do you? Kind of
good.
see
I think
with
he's
his game?
quicker than Reed, and he probably shoots it a little better than. I think he's probably another step up. And those two guys are really good. But I think he's an elite player. I think he's really, really good.